Hey y'all, it's Nomadic Shaman here. Thank you for visiting my page. Today's video is going to be a Gangstalking update. Okay, so I'm going to share with you some of the things that took place since the last time I uploaded a video. Okay, just to keep you up to date and keep record for myself. So you know your girl got notes. I stay with notes. So let's start. August 30th. August 30th, I noticed between 3 and 3:30 p.m. my internet was being toyed with. So my internet was coming in and out, in and out, in and out. Because this has happened previously, I know that somebody was playing with my Wi-Fi to access my IP address, more specifically to gain access to the websites that I visit, as well as any passwords that I've updated or changed. In other words, get up all up in my business, okay? This happened Friday, August 30th, specifically between 3 p.m. and 3:30 p.m. I asked Spirit, who was it this time? Who was it connected to next? Who was it connected to this time? Surprise, surprise, Mariah, okay? And I was just like, well, how is that the case? Because they told me she was restricted in some way, form, or fashion. So when I'm thinking restricted, I'm thinking probably bedbound, hospital. They told me she's pregnant. Bedbound, hospital. I'm thinking probably in jail, or possibly house arrest, if not a mental institution. Okay. If you ask me, all of them are needed. But hey, anyways, um, so between 3 o'clock and anyways, I mentioned between 3 p.m. and 3:30, they were toying with my internet. Also, I was told that mail was taking out my mailbox again. That I said, well, what was taken out? And Spirit had informed me some type of court summons, court documents, court summons, okay, from the courts. I said, which court? They told me Philadelphia. Um, and it was done by way of accessing my mail. So what is today's date? I believe today is Saturday, September 13th. As of today, I have not received any court documents that have been sent out by mail, certified mail, priority mail from the courts. But like I said before, if you expect me to be able to have it in my hand and it's a summons of some kind, you guys need to come physically to my doorstep, okay? Or else I'm just not going to get that information. I mean, I'll get it by spirit, but I'm like, to have tangible court documents that are sent by the court, it needs to be given to me physically, or else I'm just not going to get it. On Spirit informs me on 9/2, September 2nd, a court case was had in Philadelphia. They told me 2 p.m. Okay, so apparently the information that was taken or removed from my mailbox on August 30th was in relation to this particular court date, September 2nd. I said, what does it have to do with it? They said the house. Okay. The house that was left to me in a trust. So, what's the next thing? So, September 2nd was the court date at 2 p.m. This was Spirit told me in the afternoon. On September 7th through the 8th, that's Saturday going into Sunday, I had an Amazon package that was stolen. I said, well, who did it? They told me, who you think? Okay, I've already told you who took the papers last time. Who you think? So I said, when was this done? They told me, they gave me a time between 12 a.m. and 4 a.m. Okay, this is when my package was taken from the front entrance. Okay, my Amazon package. What else? One thing that I happened to find very interesting was there was a neighbor that came, knocked on my door. And she knocked on my door looking for a package. There was a package that was delivered literally right outside of my front doorstep. However, it wasn't mine, and I don't trust nobody, so I threw it in the trash. It had my address on there, and I wasn't gonna open it. It's not. I wasn't expecting that package. It had my address. I threw it in the trash. The person had knocked on my door and basically told me that she showed me a picture of a package that was delivered, and she had asked me if I had seen it. I said yes, I wasn't expecting it, and I threw it in the trash. I did take it out of the trash, and I gave it to her. I mean, I literally just opened it up slightly with scissors. I didn't open the contents up, but opened it up with scissors, like maybe like a quarter inch, not that, just to see what it was. I'm like, ain't no way, this is not mine. So I just went ahead and put it in the trash. But I took it out and I gave it to her. But of course, when you come in my energy, that's when I find out everything about you, especially if you're tapping into my energy. AKA, if you are coming to, if I see you face to face and you have done spell work on me, I can and will find out anything about your life. And this is either my spirits telling me or your ancestors telling me. Okay. But I can and will, if I wanted to, find out everything about your life. So, Spirit had informed me that she was one of the folks who was being paid to keep an eye out on me. So, there you have that. Um, so what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Let's see. Today, 9/13, I did have groceries delivered. They were tampered with. Okay. Another. Oh man. Sometimes you just gotta laugh at this shit. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta laugh at it. I'm just saying. Um, Let me see. Oh, on 9/11, I actually went to an event, and from prior to the event, on my way to the event, and actually while I was in the venue, um, I felt spell work being thrown at me. Okay. And generally, whenever I have those experiences, there's usually someone physically there that is either part of the coven or is a practitioner that is doing spell work. And you're probably like, how? Well, one of the ways that they do it is through astral attacks, but it's not just them, okay? But they help to facilitate. I say all this to say they were doing crown chakra magic, third eye magic, sending me evil eye, sending me heart attack spells. What else? They were sending spell work towards my solar plexus, my sacral chakra, my root chakra, you name it. They were doing all of that, okay, throughout or within the venue. And believe it or not, this prior to the venue, just in case, prior to the venue, I had taken me a spiritual shower because I had anticipated some fuckery. So I took me a spiritual shower. And, they still was trying to come at your girl. But the interesting thing was, not spirit, but interesting thing was as I was sitting down, there was this man that had sat down to my left. He sat down to my left, and I remember speaking to him briefly. And at first I'm like, oh, here we go. And I wasn't on some here we go, this dude is trying to holler. I was like, oh, here we go. I already know what's up. But as he sat down to the left of me, and I'm sitting there, and the stage, he had no view of the stage because there were people that were standing up. So there's no way that he could have seen. So I'm like, you can't even see the people who's performing. At least I had a way that I could, see like this, but he couldn't see it. He said, that's okay, I could hear it. And when he said that, I said, okay, this dude is up to some fuckery. So then I could tell he was nervous. I could tell he was anxious. He pulled his phone out. Automatically, Spirit told me he was gay. Not like that makes any difference, but the reason why I say that is like he presented himself as somebody who looked like he was trying to holler, but Spirit had told me off the bat, um, yeah, he ain't interested in you or what you got. Y'all like the same thing. So this is what Spirit had informed me, okay? So and so I'm like, okay. I'm like, here we go. Um, so then shortly after he gets up and he left. I don't know where he left, but I stayed there. I either he got no, he got up or I got up. Either way, towards the tail end of the show, I finally leave. Your girl's going, give me something quick to eat. And then I'm on my phone. I remember outside as I'm coming outside and I'm on my phone. And I remember looking to the right of me. Here is this dude. He just pops up. And he's not looking at me. He's just looking straight. He's just looking straight. Now, the funny thing is that I forgot to mention was Spirit told me that, he's capable of receiving telepathic messages. So I sent him something. And as soon as I did, I could tell he picked up what I was putting down because he immediately looked up like this. Okay. So I knew from that he got my message, right? So, anyways, because he had stopped what he was doing. But here's my ass. I'm still looking straight, looking like I'm enjoying the show, but I sent a message. So then, as I'm coming back home, I'm asking, as soon as I get back home, I'm asking Spirit, so what's his deal? Who is he? Turns out he was Mariah's brother. So she sent her brother to watch over me. Very attractive. Um, you know. But she sent her brother to watch over me. I said, ain't this about a bitch? It's like she can't come physically, so I'm gonna send my brother. Okay. Anyways, what's the other thing? I did want to share there were astral attacks. Sometimes covens will, if they're not together physically, they will set a day and time, a date, a specific time, a place to meet in the astral, and then they'll be like, attack. So they will send spiritual astral attacks that way. Okay. Um, and their usual way of doing it is usually done through using mental energy, intention, will, and they do it in a meditative state, okay, or by way of sex magic. But that's how it's done for those who don't know how it's done. Okay. You get attacked enough, then you figure out their methods, okay? Because they they change it few and far in between. Okay, so that's that. Um, and then they'll also send for the folks who, my intuitives, those who read cards. Sometimes what they'll also do is send dark telepathy. Okay, so in other words, that's sending intrusive thoughts. And here you may think it's coming from your guides. You may think it's coming from your higher self, your spiritual team, or if you're a medium such as myself, you may think it's another spirit that's talking to you, but nah, it's them. Okay. Some of these people are very well equipped and well versed in sending dark telepathy messages as like your own thoughts, okay, your own intuitive messages. Okay, so which is why my ass, I question everything, even my guides. Okay, I will test my guides. I will. Okay, just to make sure I'm getting it from the source I need to be getting it from, because there's just too many false light beings. All right. The other part is, um, let me tell you this, y'all, because this was very interesting. What I learned is this sex cult and or coven that Miss Mariah is connected to, associated with, affiliated with, um, when they do spell work in the form of death spells, and let's say it's effective, okay, so if someone isn't waking up the next day, um, a lot of them will operate kind of like hunters, in the sense where, when you'll hunt a deer, those folks who hunted deer and then as a prized possession will hold it somewhere in their room or somewhere, like, look what I got. They do that too. Okay, so they like to hold or keep something of their victims, especially when they've been successful with their death spells. Okay, they'll have something of that person. This is what Spirit told me. They will have something of that person, physical, some type of physical keepsake, okay, memorandum of sorts. But one interesting thing that Spirit told me is these cults out here, covens, they're into drinking blood. I already told you they're into, or maybe I didn't, abortions, children, child sacrifices, and then they will also, what else? Deep in the woods too. They be going in the woods, or yeah, it's like that. In the woods, or by way of rivers when they do their ritual work, okay, and or offerings to some type of river god or river goddess. So they'll usually do that. And the reason why I'm saying that is because they drink blood, and some engage in cannibalism. And the reason why behind that is like a ritualistic practice. Remember when I said that these are folks who they have successfully taken out by way of death spells or what have you, whatever. But they incorporate spell work in it. They drink blood. They're into cannibalism. Some will do some crazy ass shit with people's bodies. And they do that to tie them, bind them, that person spiritually. So then that person who's transitioned becomes a spiritual slave. I've had spiritual slaves, spirits who've been binded, who've been offed by way of death magic, come to me asking me to free them because they've been bound right after they were offed. Okay. So they do that. They bind them. This is part of their rituals that they do. They bind them so that they are now slaves in the spiritual. And so they will use them for monitoring spirits or whatever gifts that they may have, but they're like literally their spiritual slave. And then, as if that's not enough, what they do is, on top of binding them, now, if they were to reincarnate on the earthly plane, because they're bound in the spiritual by a ritual, they will be connected in the physical in the next incarnation. So you've ever heard of people saying, oh, they followed you in this lifetime? That's how they can follow you, because they had a part in your transition on out. They did some type of ritualistic binding spell work, ceremonial spell work to tie them to you in the spirit and by way of the physical of your next incarnation, y'all. Okay, this is a download that I done got that I'm sharing with you all. So, and I can say I've had experience where I've had souls who have come to me who have transitioned in that way, asking me to free them, to unbind them, basically undoing the work that was done to them so that they can be free. So I wanted to share that. Um, what's the next thing? The last, no, a couple of things. One thing is, y'all pay attention for those who are following me, the ABCDE Alphabet Agency. Pay attention to the frequency of the helicopters, the color of the helicopters when they come across or atop of my building. Spirit is telling me that's significant. Keep an eye out on the frequency, on the time, on the color of the helicopters. I've noticed personally when I try to do videos, next thing you know, I got a helicopter above my building. Or when I speak to my cousin, who is another spiritualist, I got a helicopter above my building. So keep note of those who are the ABCD Alphabet Agency boys that are watching me. Keep an eye out on that, okay? Um, Again, frequency, timing, color, and excessive in nature, okay? Um, the last thing that I wanted to say is keep an eye out on the gray car right behind me. See how often they park behind my apartment building within my view, within my window view. See the who's driving it. See how often they park there. See how close they get to the back of my window. Okay. Every single time they do it, I document it. But since y'all are already watching me, pay attention to that. The other part that I want to say is pay attention to the cars that park between my apartment building and then the apartment building to the left that are between the green space area, because I find that a lot of the gang stalkers like to park there. Why? Because whatever whatever devices or technology that they use, it gives them free reign, better reign to access to not only be able to watch me, but to hear me. And generally, if they're not parked directly behind my apartment building, they'll park out in the front, usually the first apartment set of parking lots that are closest to apartment buildings, when there are not that many people around. But if the parking lot is pretty full, just to avoid any type of interruption or interference based on the connection, they like to park right between my apartment building and the apartment building to my left. Look for white cars, look for green cars, green car, white car, brown car, gray car, white cars, BMW and Honda, okay? Look for a green Mazda. These are some of the things that Spirit is telling me, all right? That's significant. See how often that they park out there. See what times they park out there. See if anybody's in their car for anything longer than 15 or 20 minutes. Okay. Keep an eye out on that. And what else? I think that's it. That's it. I'm going to wrap that here. But until the next one, y'all, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.